Debbie?
This is Leon here.
Hi, Leon. It's Chris.
Hi, how you?
Hi,
Yeah, hi, Chris.
How are you? Hi, Leon.
Hi, Deborah. I look all frizzy.
It's humid.
That's my
today.
COVID due.
I think we all have COVID. They're very attractive, aren't they?
We'll let Barbara in.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi,
Deb.
Hi, Leon.
You're here this time.
It worked pretty well this time because I'm on my husband's iPad. I just actually ordered a new laptop so I could do this.
You'll be a better person for it.
Man, oh man.
So do you think it's going to rain today?
I hope so. I
It
would
looks like it.
to watch
Yeah.
it falling away
Yeah.
out of my throat.
I've been coughing and sneezing. I've had a couple of bad allergy days in the last few days.
Pollen is terrible. I actually put sunscreen on the other day and went out in the field to work with an intern, and I came back, I was yellow.
Golden girl.
It was so weird.
My husband goes out on his bike and you can see the lines from the helmet
Yeah.
and the stuff around his face. It's just, yeah, he looks sort of greenish yellow.
Yeah,
I left my
we're all doing
laptop
this.
out on a hassock for an afternoon, and I picked it up and walked away with it. And I said, "Ugh, this is terrible." And I wiped it off. And Christine came out and said, "I can see where you had your laptop because there was a rectangle with non-yellow hassock."
Yep. No, it's pretty amazing.
Right. I'm very bright. I'm going to shut my light. I don't think I need it. Okay.
Mm.
I'm glad I took my walk when I did this morning.
It was a pretty warm day, actually.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was, I think I went out at 11 and it was 68,
Nice.
not too humid, and a little bit of a breeze, which was pretty nice.
Yeah, it was nice down by the bay. I went out a little earlier. It was really pretty.
Did anyone go to the Cape Cod Commission hearing today?
No.
No, that was a workshop kind of thing, Michael. I was busy. I couldn't do it. It wasn't a public hearing it was a workshop, but it was open to the public, I guess. I'm not quite sure. Did you
Okay.
go? Did anyone go?
No.
Okay. There's Hillary, which we can't hear her yet, but we will in a few minutes.
I'm here.
Hi, Hillary.
Hello.
Hi, Hillary.
Guys, how are you?
All right.
Peachy.
Peachy.
We have a lot of jurisdictional opinions tonight, so I'm just,
Are you home or in your in the office?
I am in Wellfleet. I have one sleeping child and one watching an iPad, but
John.
I am physically stationed in Wellfleet today, and it has been quite the day.
I can just imagine.
It's been nuts.
Oh. All right, so how many do we have? We have 4.
Six,
Michael?
6.
six jurisdictional opinions. I'm going to grab
No,
one
no,
off.
I was trying to see if we had a quorum to
I
start.
just let John Portnoy in, I thought, but he's not coming.
Yep. No, he's in.
He's
in?
here. He's muted. You're muted, John. We want to hear you.
Space bar. There you go.
Okay.
And Michael's this weird image here. He's
Okay.
14407, whatever that number is.
All right, so we have enough for a quorum, so we'll get started. Pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Sections 18 to 25, as amended by Chapter 28 of the Act of 2009, the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Wellfleet Environmental Protection Bylaw of July of 1986 and its regulations of January 2000, the Wellfleet Conservation Commission will open the business meeting of Wednesday, June 3rd, 2020 at 4 p.m. via remote meeting. This is pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's orders imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted at this meeting. Town hall is closed to the public. Board members are participating in this meeting remotely. As this meeting will be accessible to the public via Zoom online, see the information and instructions at the end of this agenda and on the town website. Hillary, I think there was an addenda to the meeting which said that we would only consider easy applications at this time because of the problems concurrent with doing remote meetings. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. So we had added in under the business meeting, I don't have the wording here, but I think we had called it discussion on remote meetings and difficulties with particular hearings. And I had received language from town council, which I think I had forwarded around to you guys. And so it's not going to affect this meeting because on this meeting, there's nothing too complicated except SPAR, which we had already started. So I thought that we should either continue that indefinitely in this public hearing because we had already started it. So that's why that one is still on here. Shadarowski is just beach nourishment, which I thought we could tackle because that's crucial. And then Young is just the certificate of compliance, and Johanna was continued from the previous meeting. So I am going to continue ones that are complicated from this point forward, provided that's okay with all of you. So we should take a vote on that.
Okay. Could I have a motion then? And I think the motion should contemplate that during the time that we are conducting remote meetings, in order to effectively deal with internet problems, problems with the public, problems with site visits, and problems with looking at the documents relevant to each project, we will only consider easy applications at this time and continue the more difficult ones for when we can give them the full consideration that they deserve.
I would so move. It's well, that was well put.
Second, Mike Fisher.
Okay, could we have a voice vote on that? Leon, why don't you start?
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Mike Fisher,
Yes.
Ben Fairbank,
Yes.
Debbie Freeman, yes. So we'll put the appropriate language on from now on.
Mhm.
Hillary, you're muted.
I know. We don't actually need to put the language on the agenda. I just need to ship out a note to those applying that it will be continued because it's too difficult for us to hear, understand, and visit during this time. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, then should we, how would you, what do
So,
you want to start with?
Well, we have two important things tonight, and I sent you guys, and Ben, I am sorry, you had not yet been added to our CONSCOM email list. So
Okay.
you did not receive the materials that I had sent out, but I had sent out a number of proposals for our regulation redraft. So number one, I want to make sure you all had received them. Ben, I will ship them to you as we're talking here. So just a
Okay,
yes or no. Yes on John.
Yes.
Mike?
Yes, I got it.
Okay. Leon?
I'm working on it.
Okay. Barb?
This was the Delta package.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I got that.
Okay. Okay, good. So it looked like we had 3 folks submit proposals.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about that with, and then we have 6 jurisdictional opinions. And I know I see Barbara Nestle on here to talk about her jurisdictional opinion. So I think if we could tackle the jurisdictional opinions first, and then we can move on to the proposals. That would be my suggestion here.
Okay, why don't we do that unless
So-
anyone has an objection?
Sounds good.
Okay, so I'm going to start with Barbara's because she's on the line, so we can set her free if we don't have any questions for her. And Barbara and Frank Nestle live at 65 Holbrook Avenue, map 60, parcel 170. And they are having an extreme problem with Japanese knotweed. It's infiltrating their foundation area, and they would like to remove the Japanese knotweed within proximity of their foundation. They live sort of on that back road. We've been by the property to get to the one back behind it. So I think we're all familiar with it. Or if
This
not,
is the road, this is the road to Melvin?
yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
I think we've been to Nestle's before on another.
We've been to Nestle's to talk about a willow tree in
Yeah.
the market.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so this is just for Japanese knotweed removal. She's gonna cut the weed down to the ground and remove the debris and cover the area with tarps and use rocks to weigh down the tarps. And she's gonna leave the tarps in place for a couple years and then cover the area with mulch or wood chips. And then they've got the dirt road. So there's no proposed use of pesticides or herbicides, just hand removal.
That's great. Will it work?
We're hopeful with the tarps.
Tell us in 2 years.
Can you everybody hear me? This is Barbara, Nestle, the applicant. So thank you so much, Hillary, for the introduction. Actually, just a slight change that Hillary probably doesn't know yet. We are changing tarps because I found out they're completely not letting water through. So tarps are generally what is advised if you do an online research. But I met with 2 landscapers who really know Wellfleet well, who are locals, and they have both suggested use drainage filter fabric. Which is it's like a textile that still lets a little bit of light through, but very little, lets most of the water through. So it really drains well. And they said that they have really made good experience with that material. So it's not going to be tarps, because tarps are awful because they keep all the water and they could flood certain areas of our property. So we're actually using drainage filter fabric, which is a very thin material that we probably use 2 to 3 times near the foundation, and then just 1 time with overlaps when we get further away from the house. And basically the purpose of this exercise is really, we have Japanese knotweed that you probably all know is the most invasive plant in the United States, growing from this dirt driveway towards the house. That's an area that we would call phase 2. That's a bigger project, and I don't even want to talk about this right now. We just want to talk about really the urgent part, which is very close to the house, which is if you have a chance to look at the site plan where it's called parking, where I marked it in orange, that is really close to the house. And that knotweed has grown literally 3 feet from our foundation. And in terms of its root work, most probably has already reached the foundation. So what we have super urgently done over this weekend, we have literally used tarps just to cover it so that it's deprived of sunlight. But we would like in the next 1 or 2 weeks to really get started with the work, cutting everything further back. We've already started with cutting back, which we're doing every 2 weeks anyway to keep it at bay. So this is really about cutting a little bit more back, just really to the very ground, all knotweed. Some other plants, unfortunately, will have to be cut too. And then we'll cover this area with this filter fabric that is around the foundation, underneath the deck, and around the house, as per the plan that I've submitted today. I've submitted a revised plan. So this is really just to support our foundation, to make sure that the knotweed does not grow underneath it. Yeah, so it's very minimal. It's very not invasive from a natural standpoint. The second part, which is really the driveway, where we have a lot of knotweed on the other side of our property, which is what I would call the marsh. There we have a huge problem that we will have to solve later, because I learned from Titus Construction, I mean the owner of 35 Holbrook Avenue, that they want to, you know, build another house there. They already have a little cottage there that they want to replace. So there's going to be a lot of work done, and our driveway would again massively suffer from that. So we don't want to invest all this money and then having to do it all again. So
Barbara, can I just stop you for 1 minute?
Sure.
Because I think we're all clear on what we're going to take a vote on. We have a lot to cover tonight. Not that I don't
Sure.
want to listen to you talk more, but
But this is very minimally invasive. This is really my prayer to you to approve that we use this material. I can also send you the material that the landscapers have suggested.
no, I think we're good. I think we can go ahead and take a vote.
Yeah.
Through Debbie.
Is there any discussion? Any questions?
No,
Could we have a motion, please?
I move we approve the JL for Nestle to remove the invasive knotweed near the foundation of the house.
Is
I
there?
second.
Who
Okay.
seconded?
Leon,
Leon,
You.
All right, we need a voice vote. Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
John Kumbler?
Yes.
John Portnoy?
Yes.
Barbara Brenessel?
Yes.
Leon?
yes.
And I vote yes, Debbie Freeman. So it's unanimous. You're all set.
Okay, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. So what's the process? Do you guys have to see the situation now?
nope,
Or
just
what-
go
whatever?
forth and do your thing.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I'll be
Welcome.
updating you. Thank you. Have a good day or
Thank
meeting.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. The next one is for Evelyn Udowitz Trust, 75 Omaha Road. I just want to make sure we don't have anybody in a waiting room here. It doesn't look like we do. 75 Omaha Road. This property is right next to the town landing. We've been there before. We had a complaint letter come in from Ann Udowitz last year that we had talked about at a meeting, concern about shellfish driving and folks not caring for the land out there. There's a little marsh beach grass area on the right, the town landing, and then the Udowitz property on the end. So she is requesting to place poles in her cement driveway, one on either side of the driveway above her rocks closest to the house, and put a chain across her driveway because she finds that there are a number of people utilizing her driveway as a turnaround. So she would like to chain that off with poles. And that's her whole proposal.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, it's very interesting because if someone should manage to drive down there either on purpose or by accident, there's no place to turn except in that driveway. So I don't know if anyone would be able to back up Omaha if they ended up down there for any
Right.
reason.
I wonder if maybe we could ask the DPW to put up a sign, no turnaround, or,
But a lot of people park by her rocks, and the only way to turn around is her driveway. So I don't know what people could do if they end up down there.
Isn't it a private road and haven't they, at this point, told people not to drive down it?
It's a private road, just like King Philip and all the other ones on Indian Neck. Everybody drives down there anyway.
No,
There
there's
are
no
there-
parking.
But no one observes, and the shellfishermen drive down there.
Right, I understand the driving down, it's the parking. They're not letting people park there anymore on Omaha.
No one's enforcing. No one's enforcing that. So I don't know what to say, except people may have to be towed if they try to turn around on the beach. They'll have to call AAA to get out.
Yeah, I guess this is kind of a tough one, but Mrs. Udowitz would like to stop people from using her driveway.
Yeah, I completely understand. I'm just bringing up another
Yeah.
point, that if you get down there, how are you going to get out?
So we clearly need better signage at the beginning of the road, but signage is only as good as those that read it and listen to it. So I understand both sides as well. It's a difficult situation, no doubt.
And it's her driveway, it's private property. I think she has a right to put that barrier there. I just don't know what people are going to do if they drive down.
Well,
Sounds like a no-way street.
Don't go, no trespass.
Don't go here.
Yeah.
could I have a motion?
Are we moving to approve? I move that we approve the placement of the chain across her driveway.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, we need a voice vote. John Kumbler,
Reluctantly, yes.
Michael Fisher,
Yes.
Ben Fairbank,
Yes.
John Portnoy,
Yes.
Barbara Brenethel.
I will abstain because I turn there all the time when they call me to look for turtle nests down there. That's where I turn. So although I can turn in the Sterling driveway, that's true, if I could back up enough. But I'll abstain.
Yes.
And Debbie Freeman, yes.
Okay, so 6-0 to 1. Okay, very good. The next one is for our friend Ronald Kielb Jr. at 3187 State Highway. We all remember him, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so
Let's start at Moby Dick's.
his proposal is now to cut all the knotweed to ground by hand and remove off-site. Has to be cut the first week of June to stay on track with long-term removal plans. Notice of intent to be filed June 10th for July 1st hearing. So he is just proposing at this time to cut all of the Japanese knotweed to the ground.
All right, Hillary, is this on his property or on
Right.
Moby Dick's property?
This is on his property because I told him on Moby Dick's property, Moby Dick has to sign an application.
Okay,
Right.
so
Okay.
it's just on his property.
Yes.
Can
I move we approve.
we suggest he put that the fabric down so it won't grow back like the other?
Instead of the
Like Nestle.
herbicide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we suggest he do that for now too? And give him permission to cut it, but make a suggestion or not? No.
It's difficult to make a suggestion.
Okay, all right. That's fine, I understand.
Well, couldn't we ask him to evaluate it? Because, I mean, we don't really know that it works. A person just told us that it worked, that she heard it works, but we don't know. But it's new information to us. Couldn't we just ask him to consider it as an alternative?
I think we can ask him to consider it. I've seen the TARP method
Yeah.
used before. I mean, I think it's going to work similarly. I think the TARP, I don't know, Ben, maybe you can weigh in, but I would think the TARP might work better because it's going to smother it, whereas the filter fabric isn't the filter fabric going to sort of feed it and allow it to still see light and sun and water?
I think the filter fabric still works to some degree, but probably with knotweed, it's a little tougher, but
Hillary,
Yes.
one of the other advantages of a black tarp is if it's in the sun, it burns the roots.
Yeah.
So that's why the black tarp is so effective. 'Cause
Yeah.
I mean, I
That would change the runoff.
chunks of poison ivy with the black tarp.
With black tarp, yeah. So I'm not familiar with the filter fabric method. I don't think it's going to work as well as the black tarp. So I guess I'm sort of hesitant to recommend
Anything. Okay.
anything to anybody, because that Japanese knotweed, as we all know, is a really, really tough pest to get rid of. So he can cut it down. It's going to grow back. I mean,
Sounds
Right
like
now,
we
he's
have
just
an
asking to cut it down, right?
yeah, he's just asking to cut it down right
Okay,
now.
so that's, should be.
we can see which method works. We have a quasi experiment.
Plus, he intends to
Two
come
data
back
points.
for a notice. I'm sorry, he intends to come back with a notice of intent.
Yeah, he says
Regarding
he's
that-
coming back June. Has to be done by June. His notice of intent to be filed June 10th for the July 1st hearing. So he says. So
So we can discuss it at that point too.
we can have lots of discussion with him.
Yeah.
All right. John Kumbler has made a motion. Could we have a second to John Kumbler's motion, please?
Second, Mike Fisher.
And Leon, how do you vote?
Yes,
Barbara, how do you vote? John Portnoy?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
John Kumbler?
Yes.
And Debbie, yes. Thank you.
Okay.
And Mike Fisher, yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Because you can't see his face, you just see that icon, right?
That's right.
Well, I changed it to his name. Okay,
Yeah.
now our next jurisdictional opinion, we have a lot of repeat customers, is for Sandy Shoes LLC at 135 High Meadow Road. And this is to replace an existing gravel bed under the deck with permeable pavers. So this is an L-shaped area directly outside the slider, leading out of the basement and under the existing deck. Since the house was built, this area has been covered with gravel with a permeable cloth underneath. We would like to replace a portion of the gravel with permeable pavers. The footprint of the pavers would not expand the footprint of the existing gravel. So they'd like to remove the gravel, apply a little T-base, apply some mason sand, and install the permeable pavers.
Hillary,
Well, the
just
is
say,
water-
I'm opposed to the application of T-base. Plus, these people have not been easy to deal with in the past, nor have they conformed to what they've said. So I really feel uncomfortable. Whereas granting them something without seeing more documents on it and more plans, I just really don't have a good feeling about that. And that is purely personal on my part.
Okay.
No, I agree.
That brings up a good point, because I'm a supervisor for a project where they originally proposed a gravel driveway that we approved. And then they emailed me and said, well, can we put pavers there instead of a driveway? And I said, well, then you have to amend your application because pavers are different from gravel. And I said, the only substitution that, as your supervisor, I could approve is shell, which is similar to gravel, but no T-base underneath. So I think this is a whole different kind of project. If Sandy Shoes, if this is in the buffer zone,
It's about 195 feet from the river. So it's in the riverfront area. It's not in
Okay.
the buffer zone, but in the riverfront area.
and why do they want to do this? If they have gravel there,
So from what I understand, her kids are out of school and they like to exercise. And in order to get a stable surface to exercise on, they put sort of a rubber mat on top of the gravel. Couple weeks ago, the rubber mat is movable. It doesn't stay out there all the time, but they need a more stable surface to work out or lift weights or whatever the type of exercise is that they're doing. So that was the genesis for this.
okay. I would say it's significantly different from the gravel that we can't approve it.
Okay,
I'm not-
so we want them to
I'm not
find-
keen on it. I'm not keen on it. I don't know. What do other people feel?
Yeah, they can put a wooden deck that's permeable.
Well, that's not what was proposed, right? So they could put a lot of things there, but they want to put permeable pavers. So we can certainly ask them to come back with an RDA showing this in greater detail.
Well, the pavers might be permeable, but do we agree that the T-base is permeable?
It's
No.
not-
So we have the problem, basic problem seems to be the substitution for an impermeable system.
Yeah.
or semi-permeable system.
So do we want to take a vote on the jurisdictional opinion, and I will tell them to come back with a request for determination?
Yes.
So we would need a motion to deny the jurisdictional opinion. Could I
Correct.
have such a motion?
I so move.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay.
We need a voice vote. Mike Fisher,
Yes.
John Kumbler,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
John Portnoy,
Yes.
Leon,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Debbie, yes.
Okay. All right, so I will reach out to them. Okay, next up, we have a jurisdictional opinion for Marissa Picariello.
Okay, I'm leaving on this one.
It's 299 Gold Pond Road, parcel 48. I don't have the map number handy. And they would like to construct a chicken coop and an open fenced-in area for the run. The location is approximately 60 feet from the BVW. So I can tell you on this one, she filed the jurisdictional opinion. I had suggested she file an RDA because I think it's something that we would want to see and understand where it is in proximity to the wetland. And the commission might want to better understand the composting and what methodology they're using because it is in such close proximity to the wetland.
Yeah, just for a little bit of context here, that the wetland is Eel Creek, which is tributary to Herring River via Poldyke Creek. So, you know, the nitrogen from the chickens would be an issue. So I think we should look at it more carefully.
Anybody else have comments?
I agree with John that it's an awful lot of nitrates coming out of chicken run.
Yep. So do I.
Ben, any comments?
What other permission would they need from the town for a chicken run?
So they need Board of Health approval, which they have. They need our approval because of the location, and then they need zoning approval as well. So it happens to be the three-prong hit here because they're also in wetland jurisdiction.
I agree with what John Portnoy said. I'm concerned about the nitrogen traveling into Eel Creek. So I would like to see a plan that indicates where the manure will be stored, how they will deal with essentially manure and chicken urine, and what the layout of the land is so that I can understand whether their plan makes sense or not.
Okay.
Concur.
I
Okay.
agree.
So a vote to deny the jurisdictional opinion.
Could I have a motion to deny the jurisdictional opinion?
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second, Mike Fisher.
All right, Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
John Kumbler,
Yes.
John Portnoy,
Yes.
Leon,
Yes.
Barbara abstains, and I vote yes.
Okay. Next up is another repeat customer, a jurisdictional opinion for Al Kraft at 580 Old Chequesset Neck Road. He is requesting removal of 2 trees that could impact his home and his solar array on his roof. He had originally asked for 3 trees, but one of his trees he already had approval for, which we found when we went out there. So he's requesting to remove 2 additional trees. He has a wind issue and he's trying to get his solar panels to get the most light possible.
Hillary, have you been out to look at?
I have not been out there, but Doug was out there and it's 2 pine trees. One is 12 inches and one is 14 inches. And Doug thought it seemed reasonable.
Been out there a number of times, and it did seem like he's been fairly conscientious about what he wants to do.
And he always does file with us now, so I think we're on a good path with him.
Mhm.
So I make a motion that we accept.
The jurisdictional opinion for Kraft,
Right.
580 Old Chequesset Neck Road. Could
I'll
I?
second.
Okay. Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
John Kumbler?
Yes.
John Portnoy?
Yes.
Leanne Shreve?
Yes.
And Barbara's not back, so she's not present. Debbie,
Okay.
yes.
So 6-0. Okay, and then last but not least, just want to make sure I got all these. 4, 5, 6. Okay, we have a request from USGS. And I'm just going to read this because I think it'll be easier. So, dear Hillary, I am writing on behalf of USGS researchers who would like to include the Phragmites wetland on Mayo Creek as a study location to be included in an ongoing scientific investigation. The goal of this project is to quantify greenhouse gas fluxes from tidally restricted and impounded wetlands. Addition of the Mayo Creek site would allow us to include more ecosystem variability to the study design. If allowable, this research would include the installation of a 1-inch diameter continuous monitoring well to measure groundwater level, salinity, and temperature. Additionally, we would install 2-foot diameter PVC rings, 3 of them, into the marsh about 4 inches above and below the soil surface as bases for monthly chamber measurements of greenhouse gas flux. The chambers are not installed, but brought to the site each month and placed on each base for several minutes during gas sampling. The site would be visited monthly to, number 1, service continuous monitoring sensors in the well, number 2, collect soil pore water samples, and 3, measure greenhouse gas flux as previously described. We are hoping to be able to access the site from the ball field off Kendrick Ave. We would follow trails previously established by mosquito control agents and cross the creek to an undisturbed location to establish a study site. Wooden boards and planking would be used to prevent excessive trampling of the soil surface. The well and chamber base installations, PVC rings, would remain installed for 2 years. Previously, in 2015, with permission granted by administrative review, our team collected sediment cores from this location to investigate sediment and carbon accumulation rates in this tidally restricted wetland. This work is part of a larger study with the NPS collaborators investigating the potential for including salt marsh restoration and carbon offset markets. Additional data from greenhouse gas measurements at this location will fill knowledge gaps regarding the feasibility of such projects. We recognize that there has been ongoing scientific research in this location recently, and our work will complement these efforts. We're very appreciative of your past support of our research efforts. Please let us know how to proceed with requesting permission. Thank you so much, Jennifer O'Keefe Suttles.
So do we know whose land this is that they're going to locate it on?
Ooh, that's a good question. I wonder if it's town or conservation trust. Hold on, let me see if I can pull up the assessor's map.
They're going in right off the end of the back of the ball field.
Yeah, right across.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the assessor's atlas.
I'm pulling it up. Stay tuned.
Okay.
All right, map 20 looks about right. Let me try and share my screen here with you guys. There's Harborside Village. There's the ball field. There's the wetland. Let's see, here we go. Share screen. All right. Everybody seeing it?
Oh, yeah.
Let me try and move you guys over here.
Now I
So-
see.
Here's the ball field and parcel. Huh, interesting. Parcel 117. They're gonna cross the creek here. But we don't actually own the marsh. So looks like parcel 137.
37 is town, right? And one, what's the next one? Over there would be the Conservation Trust, I think. But I don't think there's a problem with it, but it would be good to know, get permission from the owner, whoever the owner is.
So we can give our approval based on the owner's approval, because we're clearly not the owner of 171. Let me just, I can see who that is. 20, 171, 20, 138. Oh, 2138 is Melvin, right?
Hmm.
And 2137. Okay, let me just see who that is. Stay tuned.
But town,
Hmm.
From our point of view, it doesn't really matter, right? We're just giving approval. They have
Well,
to,
we're giving approval for the research work, and then they would have to seek out the owners of the property to get their approval, because
right, but that's not our concern. Our concern.
no,
So I
Nope.
think we should say yes for this because I don't see it's going to have a negative impact on the marshland. So,
21
but you could say yes, but you remind them that they have to get permission from the owner.
yeah, because none of it, we're not the owner of any of it. Yeah, there's a Charlie Fraser, a Giovangelo, and Melvin, as we know. So,
Oh. Good luck.
yeah.
Well, Giovangelo's been cooperative with science in the past.
Owner's approval.
And
Okay.
then there's also Conservation Trust land to the west.
Further, yeah, I can you, are you still looking at the map or are you
No,
looking?
No,
Okay,
but I
you're,
remember I saw it. So that's a possibility for them if things don't
Okay.
work out.
okay. Okay, so vote maybe on that.
So John, did you make a motion? John Kumbler?
yes, that we approve of this, their work on them in the marsh.
Second that, but before we vote, we can't condition this in any way, right?
I mean, you can, we
Okay,
can, yes.
I have a very modest request that they provide us with a report, the town with a report when they're done with the research.
And I guess the other condition would be that they obtain the property owner's
I
permission.
have that one. Yep.
So can I have a second?
Second,
All right. Leon, how do you vote? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Yes.
Yes. Sorry.
Barbara,
Yes.
John Portnoy,
yes.
John Kumbler,
Yes,
Ben,
Yes.
Mike Fisher.
I'm going to recuse in case it's Conservation Trust land.
Okay, and Debbie votes yes.
Okay, great.
can I just weigh in here for now that the vote's done?
Yeah.
I'm bothered by the fact that we're conditioning they need to get permission from the owners. I don't think that's our business. I think
Well,
that's,
maybe we need to remind them that
okay, but I don't think we should make that a condition. That's not our business.
I guess I worry then that someone would say, well, the Conservation Commission told us we could.
We did. We said for conservation, they can.
No, I think what we're doing, John, and you all can disagree, is that we're saying you have to get the property owner's consent. It's an okay project for us, but we can't consent for someone else's property. And I think they need to know that rather than assuming that our consent is everything that's required.
I'm not saying we shouldn't suggest it. I just think it's out of our charge to tell them as a condition, they have to get the owner's permission. That's just,
So there's no harm done, right?
no, I'm just saying that.
Typically, when someone would come to us with an application, they would already have the authority of the owner to do that. So this is sort of unusual that we're giving permission ahead of time.
Right, just like with Kelb, we wanted to make sure that it was on his property this time and not on someone else's property who had not consented.
Right, okay. All right, I didn't mean to make an issue. We did vote. It's done.
Well,
We're good to go.
I'm wondering if we should go back and just ask them to get that permission before we vote. I don't know.
I think we can uphold our vote because it's one less trip before us. If they don't have the owner's permission, then they can't go onto the property, right? I don't think they're just going to trespass onto
Right.
private property.
Okay,
Pardon me, Hillary?
When I reach back out to them, I'll let them know that it's not our property, it's private property. We're only approving the conservation aspect of what they're doing.
Hillary, would you be able to send me that email? Because I couldn't get all the information.
Oh, one other thing, if it's not too late, we should condition it on their removal of all of their equipment when the study is complete, including the boardwalks.
That's fine. We can do that.
All right, is there one more, Hillary? Or are we done?
No, that's it. So if we could move on to the proposals. Did anyone have comments? Then I'm going to email those to you right now, so stay tuned here.
can I just say something? I may be overstepping. I just emailed my daughter that you guys didn't approve her JO, but she had a composting plan with her original proposal, and you were concerned about the night. I didn't hear it all. I just heard something nitrates.
Yes.
So she wants to be clear about what she has to do to bring this forward. Because in her original proposal, she had a composting plan. She was telling, I just texted her. So.
Yeah, so I think that was her original proposal to the Board of Health. And in that proposal, she was using a compost in the pen method.
Okay, just so I can explain to her, because I didn't hear your conversation. I just heard about the decision.
Yeah, so I think we need to know about how that composting method affects the nitrates coming from the chicken waste.
And also,
Okay.
I think we need to have a site visit.
Right, our concern is that it not flow down into the creek.
Okay. I'm just, because she doesn't know anything about this, and I'm just trying to help her navigate, and I don't even know, so, okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, Hillary, on those three proposals,
Yes, I'm just sending them to Ben at the moment, so bear with me 1 second. But you can keep talking, I can still hear you.
okay, have you had any experience with any of the three groups in drafting regulations?
The only folks I've had experience with would be APCC. I know that Horsley Witten has done this type of work well, not this type of work, but has some regulation work with other municipalities. And I have never heard of the third group. So I don't know any local experience with it.
Hillary, what was the name of the third group? I looked at these briefly when I first got them, and now I've forgotten a lot of the.
Yeah, the third group is SWCA, Environmental Consultants, and they're out of Amherst, Massachusetts.
Oh, right, okay.
And when I looked at their proposal, I didn't see a cost. which is
Yeah,
kind of
there's no
strange.
budget.
And I don't know if anybody else did, but it was something that was glaring to me.
Correct.
And maybe I glazed over it, but did anybody see what they were proposing to charge?
No.
I
No.
can pull it up and I'll share my screen in 1 second just so we can all kind of be looking at the same thing. This is their proposal. This is the group out of Amherst. And so they write this letter. And we had released fairly specific requirements on what we wanted from people, you know, as far as meetings and attendance and so I see about their team and then their approach. The public process. The schedule. Our schedule is obviously delayed a little bit now just because of COVID issues. And then I see letters of support, but I don't see anywhere where they tell us what it's going to cost. So I'm not sure how we evaluate that one. So, so that's that one. And then I can get us to the Horsley Witten one, which is right here. So let me share this. And I guess I don't know if this is awkward because we had APCC do the first half of this project. So for continuity's sake and experience, I mean, we have to give some points to APCC over another group just stepping into this. So it's kind of an awkward procedure for where we are, but.
The APCC was also like $11,000 more.
Yes. And I wonder if that's because of the staff that they bring to the table and the expertise of the staff. So they have lawyers and.
Talking about APCC?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I'm not sure what the constraints of the contracting were, but for you and the town, but was it possible to go sole source on this because of special qualifications, for example, of APCC?
What does that mean? Go
It
sole
means-
source, I'm sorry. Contracting is not my area of expertise, so I
Well, if you have someone who's uniquely qualified and you can justify that, then you're not required, at least with the feds, we were not, under a certain amount, we weren't required to competitively bid the project.
Okay, so when I asked the town hall when we were gonna do the contracting for this, because the cost was over $5,000, they told me I had to put it out for bid. And I can look back at the contract that we released because we just ran into this with the wastewater committee where somebody that didn't get the job cited some general procurement law that I know absolutely nothing about, and said that we were supposed to go with the cheapest bid unless there was reason not to.
I don't know about that.
I think
Yeah.
John's right, though. We have dealt with APCC and they are uniquely qualified because of their on-Cape experience and their experience in Wellfleet drafting the bylaw or the new bylaw.
So I'm just looking, can you guys see what I have on my screen? I have what we released. Is that what you're seeing?
No, I'm seeing
No.
resumes from Horsley Witten. I think.
Okay, hold on. Let me share something different. Okay, this is what we released. So I'm just gonna take a look through that and see if anywhere in there we talk about going with the cheapest option. Compensation, fixed price, bidder qualifications. Bidder shall have a minimum of 5 years experience performing similar work. The firm must meet the following criteria: be fully qualified, equipped, staffed, organized, financed, have a minimum of 3 references. So it doesn't seem like we bound ourselves by any price, point.
I've never heard of anything requiring that the lowest cost bidder wins. That's just part of the criteria that you look at. Experience and capabilities and things like that count too.
Well, and I guess I'm inclined to agree that I think APCC has specialized experience. They have a very unique team of people that they bring to the table that have Wellfleet experience in this project. So that's why I'm inclined to go with them. I think if we are comfortable with that, I don't know how other folks feel. I can pose that question back to Town Hall and say, we'd like to go with this bid. It's not the cheapest, but it's most compatible with the experience and expertise that we're looking for.
Yeah, I would agree. But are we doing the contract, or we're recommending to the select board?
No, we would do the contract because we were awarded a grant from the Cape Cod Commission to fund a portion of it, and then we were going to fund the other portion of it through our Conservation Commission fund money from the applications that we bring in.
Good.
Do we
Well,
have
I
to
would
decide?
recommend what you say then, go with APCC. The Horsley Witten Group, it says it's a small business. They don't have the staff and they don't have the experience that APCC has.
I would think Horsley Witten would have the staffing, and they have experience, but I think it's not experience and expertise specific to Wellfleet, where, APCC obviously helped us with the bylaw, and their expertise in that area seems to be great.
Yeah, also with the Horsley Witten, they say that the APCC will be able to furnish background materials for the project, and so they would have to sort of play catch up and get only the product and not the process.
Yes. I'm just pulling up APCCs so we can take a look at that jointly while we're here. Share screen. Sorry, I know this is a little unwieldy, but
Such is life in the age of COVID.
no, I know.
Unwieldy.
Such as it is, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I'd be interested in who they're going to put on this project.
APCC,
Yeah.
Joanne and Andrew. And then I think they use Kristen, staff qualifications. So we've got Andrew Gottlieb, the executive director, Don Kiernan, the assistant director and policy specialist, Dr. Joanne Morimoto, and Kristen Andres. All are senior staff members with many years' experience working with agencies, organizations, stakeholders, businesses, and citizens.
No lawyers.
Well, I think they have a lawyer. Is Don?
No, I don't think Don is.
Policy and advocacy.
He's more like a lobbyist, as far as I know.
It says he has a total of 19 years in developing regulations, bylaws, and policies, including 2 years working with the Wellfleet Conservation Commission. I'm just reading.
Yeah. He worked in the background on our bylaw, or our proposed bylaw. So I think let me just pull up their price proposal here.
Is this likely to get underway anytime soon, given our unwieldy situation?
Yes, so we have the contract. We have the contract signed with the Cape Cod Commission. We just need to contract with a consultant. So we were supposed to start work in May, and unfortunately now it's June.
Oh, okay. All right, so it would be a good idea to decide now.
I mean, I'd like us to decide tonight if possible, and then I could ask that question to Town Hall, and then we could move forward. But I just want to pull up their price proposal, because I think Horsley Witten was 34,000, is that right?
32, I think.
32. And this is opening up. I think their budget was
3.7.
43.7. So 43.7. So it's a little more. But I'm happy to ask that question back to Town Hall. So.
All right, given that, could we have a motion which is contingent upon Town Hall telling us that we don't have to choose the lower of the two bidders who've submitted cost proposals?
So moved.
I move that we select APCC to conduct the study, to develop the bylaws,
No, the regulation.
the regulations, excuse me.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Leon.
Okay, Leon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Barbara?
Okay, yes.
John Courtnoy?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Mike Fisher?
Yes.
John Kumpler?
Can't vote. Abstain.
Okay. You're abstaining?
Yeah, I'm on the board of the APCC.
So you're abstaining, okay.
I'm abstaining.
And Debbie votes yes.
Okay, very good. I just admitted Ann Udowitz into our meeting. She came in late, but I believe she was in to talk about her jurisdictional opinion. So I'm just gonna unmute her if I can. Ann, can you go ahead and unmute yourself? Hi, Ann, this is Hillary. I just wanted to let you know that we had heard your jurisdictional opinion during the business meeting, and your proposal was approved.
Oh, fantastic. So do I need to have anyone come out to look at where we're putting them, or we can just go
Nope,
ahead?
you can go ahead and install them. Doug was out there, and so he's familiar with the area. So you can go ahead and do the work, and I'll be in touch with you on your other matters by week's end.
Okay, so I will leave the meeting. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Ann.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, is there anything else? We have 1 minute in the business portion.
I have two questions for Hillary.
Go for it.
One, did you ever send me a telephone number for me to send those pictures to?
Yes, I did. I sent you my cell phone number.
Send it to me again, because I didn't get it.
You want me to give it to you now? I don't think anybody's going to call me on it. It's 508.
Hold on, let me get a pen.
Everybody else, mute
508.
your phone. 246
246
1567.
1567. Okay. My second question is, I have three questions actually. My second question is the way 60, the shed under the,
Yep.
what's the story on that?
The letter went out to them and we're waiting to hear back.
Okay. And my third question is, I don't know what to do with this, but I have been, since I was on the Board of Health, pushing for some sort of town regulation that says that if you're putting a septic system within 300 feet of a wetland, it has to be an alternative system or something else other than a standard Title V. And every time I bring this up, I'm told, well, we don't have that regulation. What is it going to take for us to get that regulation?
What is it going to take? Well, we're currently looking at redrafting our regulations, right? So that could be something that the Conservation Commission considers putting into their regulations, and then the Board of Health would come along with that.
So how do we make sure that happens?
Well, we are all active participants in the regulation revision, and that's just something that we tell our consultant we want to see.
Okay, so if you speak to the consultant, would you tell them that?
Yes, the consultant, once we get the consultant on board, the consultant will speak to all of us at the same time. So it's your consultant, not necessarily my consultant. So we'll all work together on that.
Okay.
Okay. Hillary, I received a complaint from some people on Indian Neck Beach who are concerned about where Hiawatha intersects with the beach, about all the debris that is located there, and about the crumbling bank. And they wanted to know whether that was before the Conservation Commission, who owned the bank there and who was taking care of it before they got up themselves and decided to move chunks of asphalt, which I asked them please not to do.
So I think there are cottages there, right? And I think the cottages, the road is built in the wrong place. It's complicated. The answer to the question is it's very complicated. Mark and I have talked about this area a number of times, and there is a lot of rubble there because I believe the road was located there. So
Yeah,
it's not an easy solution.
Is it also a town landing at that point?
There is a town pathway to the beach, and when the folks on the end, I think it's Stossel, put in their revetment retaining wall, there was a condition that went along that they were to maintain access to the beach there.
Well, if someone could put it on a future agenda to study that location so that we could figure out what, if anything, should be done there.
Is that where there are a few little steps going down?
That's exactly it. And as you look inland from there towards Sewell's Gutter, beyond the revetment, there's a lot of asphalt and a lot of stones sort of higgledy-piggledy piled up. And it's also caving in places. And the road is caving.
Hillary, am I still on?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I had left and I was just playing a game. And that's also us on the opposite side. So it's the same concern of that whole area caving in and just having the inlet becoming wider and losing our banks. Deborah, I'm on the opposite side on Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
And
No,
everyone,
I
and
know
everyone
where your
parks-
house is.
Pardon?
I know where your house is.
Yeah, and so we're losing our wall and we're losing the embankment, and also the berm on the marsh side is getting cut into because everyone parks there and everyone drives onto the marshland. So it's getting smaller, that whole marsh grassy area, and that really concerns me too. And that's what I've been speaking to Hillary and Doug about.
I, for one, am not that familiar with this site, so I would really appreciate looking at it before rendering any kind of an opinion on it.
No, all I'm asking is for that it be brought before the commission so that we could get out there and look at it and determine what, if anything,
Okay,
could be done.
Excellent. Good,
yeah,
thank
good,
you.
good plan.
Are there any other comments? Okay. Before we start the business meeting, I just wanted to say that my term is up on June 30th, and I'm going to re-up if the select board says yes.
I'm on a meeting there.
But if
Okay.
anyone else would like to take over as chair, I would certainly be glad to give up the position. All right, then we'll open up the business meeting of the Town of Wellfleet Conservation Commission on June 3rd, 2020 at 5 p.m. We're opening this under the same authority as the business meeting. These are the public hearings portion, and it's starting at 5:05. The first hearing is, and I'm going to say it wrong again, Johanne, is that how you say it? You have to turn on your microphone. You're
I think it-
muted. We can't hear you.
Okay, I'm going to recuse from this because I am supervising her daughter's project in Herring River, so I feel like that, and I didn't file a disclosure, so I'm leaving again.
I'm sorry, we cannot hear you. No, still can't hear you. Okay, why don't we pass that because of issues with the remote meeting and her ability to connect with us, and go to the next hearing, which is Young. 140 Commercial Street, map
I
20,
guess
parcel 86, a certificate of compliance. Hillary, you're muted also.
Always
Yeah.
muted. So this is a request for a certificate of compliance, and it was, he was taking down the building and replanting and revegetating the area only. So the building has been demoed and the restoration of the area was complete. We have a certification letter from Falco, and I think we can go ahead and issue the certificate of compliance on this one.
I move that we issue the certificate of compliance for Young at 140 Commercial Street.
Second, Michael.
All right, we need a voice vote. Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
John Kumpler,
Yes.
John Portnoy,
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Leon,
Yes.
and Debbie, yes. Did I get Mike Fisher? I apologize if I didn't.
Oh, you did.
Oh, okay,
Yes, I voted yes.
okay. The next hearing is, I'm sorry? The next hearing is Shadorowski, 77 Samoset Avenue, map 28, parcel 114, a notice of intent for beach nourishment.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Charlie Agro with Coastal Engineering Company, representing Mr. and Mrs. Shadorowski. The proposed project, I don't know if you guys can, you won't be able to see it on my computer screen, but the proposed project is to place 40 cubic yards of sand behind the existing concrete seawall on the property. The work has been done in the past. The property consists of an old concrete seawall that has been repaired over time. And there's the bank behind it has eroded to the point where there's a gap between the return of the existing wall and where the slope starts, which is allowing the tidal waters to come from around the corner as well as above the wall, which is causing sediment from behind the concrete wall to erode. There's also several cracks and void spaces and crevices in the concrete wall. It's allowing sand as water splashes up and over the wall. The water is ponded on the top of the wall. And as the water is ponded on the top of the wall, as the water is trying to seep down and seep through, it's actually causing sediment to flow outside of the back of the wall and onto the beach. I was there one afternoon during a pretty rough day, and I kind of saw it happening firsthand, and sand really just pours right out of the wall. So the proposed project is to place 40 cubic yards of sand in that void space that Hillary is showing on those two pictures. I'm sure everybody's seen the application and seen the pictures up close. One picture, the picture on the left is looking north. The picture on the right is looking south. The main area of concern is on the north end, which is the corner of the property, 83 Samoset Avenue, where an annual beach nourishment project has been going on for as long as I'm aware of, or at least 5 to 10 years or so. So likely the construction would be done at the same time, which is potentially as soon as next week. The purpose of the nourishment is to basically create or to re-nourish the area that has been eroded so that it provides more of a buffer to the coastal bank. The concrete seawall exists about 20 feet to the southwest of the toe of the coastal bank and provides good toe support for the coastal bank. As the sand erodes from the landward side of the wall, it eventually will get to the toe of that coastal bank, which will eventually lead to erosion of the coastal bank itself if it's left without doing any kind of nourishment. So if there's any questions or concerns, I'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Has there ever been any nourishment at this particular location?
Yes, I think last year the nourishment quantity was a lot smaller. I think it was like 5 to 10 cubic yards, and I think we did it through a maybe even a field change last year. Hillary, I don't remember. I think we spoke about it very briefly while we were going over stuff for the Oyer property.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and last year I have pictures. I don't know if they're in the notice of intent application itself, but we have pictures from last year where the area had no voids at all. So it's a pretty significant amount of sand that's seeping out from the concrete wall. And we're looking into some potential measures now on how to repair that in the longer term, but that's separate from this now. Right now we're looking for a temporary solution to help protect the coastal bank in the short term.
Can I ask follow up on Debbie's question? This is Mike Fisher.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. So what you're saying then is you're only applying for a one-time nourishment.
So we're just looking to permit this as a typical order of conditions so that it gives the owners the flexibility if they decide not to go ahead with any repairs of the wall. They could potentially do this work again next year if needed.
I'm uncomfortable with that. This is an area where there are lots of shellfish beds off the beach, and I would want to know for certain where the sand is going before we permit a continuing beach nourishment.
And I definitely understand that, and similar with the site that's located just south that we actually just permitted and placed some nourishment on. The distance between the mean high water line and the mean low water line at this site is very vast, which just goes to show there's so much of an intertidal beach area here before you really get out to the shell fishing areas where it's usually situated below me or more out towards the tidal flats closer to the mean low water line. So I mean, in my opinion, the 40 cubic yards that would be placed here that could erode over an annual basis, which it was basically 40 cubic yards of sand last year that eroded, I think is really minimal as for what the beach in general looks like. But at this point, if we want to,
say you put the same thing down last year? I thought you put a minimal amount down last year. That this was.
So we put a minimal amount last year. It only required about 5 to 10 cubic yards to fill the void space. And this year it requires more. So just from last year to now, about 40 cubic yards has been eroded. Because last year at this time, there was no void. It was all flat behind the wall. So it just goes to show about 40 cubic yards eroded. And it was wasn't a terrible winter until really the end of March and early April. And then we've seen some other sites on this stretch of beach here that eroded at a more accelerated rate than other years previous. So it's hard to say, is 40 cubic yards going to be a typical erosion pattern or what? The Oyer property that I've monitored for a few years now seems to have very typical erosion of what it has over the past couple of years. But
Debbie, can I speak?
Of course, John.
I'm perfectly comfortable with the 40 cubic yards this year. In fact, I would be willing to go up as high as 60 or 80 for one time off only, but I agree with you. Because of past experiences, I don't think we want any open-ended in the future doing anything else. I think if they want a one-off 40 cubic or even more, but we want to know the number, this time is fine, but if they want to do it again, they have to come back to us.
Does anybody else have?
Burned before.
I'm sorry, John, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's all right, but we all know what happened before.
All right.
This is Mike Fisher. Yeah,
Yes.
I would agree with Debbie and with John that a one-time application is fine. I had another point, but if you want to wait, I can raise that later.
No, go ahead.
Well, the wooden stairs going down are in pretty bad shape. Is the applicant going to be coming back to us to replace those soon?
I'm not 100% sure at this point. Last I saw the stairs, or last I was on site, the stairs weren't even in yet. And I'm trying to remember the stairs. I almost thought they were an aluminum set of stairs, but maybe that's their neighbor's
Well,
stairs.
there's aluminum down to the beach, but going down the face
Oh, I
of
see.
the dune.
That's something I can take a look at next time I'm on site. At this point, they haven't requested that from me at this point, so I don't necessarily think so.
Okay, well, they shouldn't be able to put them in without applying for it.
If they were going to do the stairs, or?
Right. If they're going to change the stairs, they need to come back.
Oh, of course, yeah, but at this point, I don't think they're planning on doing that.
Well, they will soon.
Okay, are there any further comments?
No,
Yes, I have another comment or question, I guess. I guess we shouldn't take this as literal beach nourishment, but I don't understand. I was out there at the site. The concrete wall is pretty far in a seaward direction. There's not much of a beach seaward of it. If the plan, the long-term plan is to confine so-called beach nourishment sand within the concrete wall, how does that nourish the beach?
So it doesn't actually, I guess it will serve as beach nourishment because the sand is being eroded from behind the wall, and it's actually flowing through some of the void space within the wall, and it ends up on the beach on some lower tides. You can even see at the cracks of the wall, there'll be a little pile of sand that has washed through the wall, and especially around the corner that abuts the Oyer property, sand washes right around from the return of that wall and goes from there.
But Debbie, my question is, if the plan, maybe I've misunderstood, but if the plan is to fix the voids, confine the sand within the concrete wall, how does this nourish the beach, which is already pretty depressed because of the starvation of sand?
I think what he's saying, John, is there are cracks in the wall and it's flowing out through the wall.
And that's not going to change. Is that what he's saying?
There's
Not
no,
as part of this proposal, no. If we end up coming back in the future with a plan to either reconstruct, repair, or something with this concrete wall, which we're looking into now, again, not as part of this application here, something else would have to, the goal of that would be to retain all of the fill behind the wall. And at that point, maybe a mitigation beach nourishment project for sand placed seaward of the wall would be just like any other rock revetment project could be implemented.
Okay,
Right.
it's just that my impression looking at it from the top of the bank is that the concrete wall is too far seaward. I don't know if you'd agree with that from an engineering standpoint and a coastal geology standpoint, but it just looks like in this day and age that old concrete wall is too far seaward.
And this is Barbara, my understanding, or what I'm thinking is that when they originally got the permit to build that wall, there was no order of conditions for beach renourishment at that time.
I have no idea how old this wall is. Hillary,
Right.
do you have any indication?
There wouldn't have been a requirement for beach nourishment on this property. I guess I would ask the question, is the wall stable? Is it
So the wall is currently stable as we've seen. But I mean, again, it's stable to the point where we can't necessarily say that a really bad hurricane or a really bad storm could cause erosion of the seaward edge of the beach that could cause the wall to slide or even rotate over. But at this point, the wall is in somewhat stable condition. And again, we're looking at some kind of potential repair of the wall. The walls, it looks like the wall has been repaired previously in the past. The zigzag wall, I believe, was constructed maybe in the late 70s. And I think this wall was originally constructed even prior to that.
Yeah, the wall looks really old and it looks cracked. And it's got a long horizontal gap in it, which I guess is what you're talking about, where the sand is flowing out.
And I'm sorry, was that a question? I couldn't really hear you that well.
What I'm saying is the wall is quite beat up.
It is, yes.
And it has a long horizontal crack running from one end to the other. Is that where you're talking about? That opening is where the sand is flowing out?
It's one of the cracks. I believe where that horizontal crack is, there was a lift that was done and a new concrete block installed underneath it. I think when the wall was installed, I think the beach grade was significantly higher, and now the beach grade has dropped over time, and I think and that's where we are now.
My feeling is, and John Portnoy, is I agree with you that the wall may be in the wrong place. We may need beach nourishment on the beach, but at this point, the one-time depositing of sand behind the wall, which will to some degree flow out onto the beach over time, doesn't trouble me.
And I consider doing beach nourishment in front of the wall, but especially after being there on a pretty rough day on a high tide as well, and it was a higher high tide, I think any sand that was placed seaward of the wall, unless it was on the order of thousands of cubic yards way below the mean high water line and really just, pushing the water line back and seaward, which is not what we're proposing here. Any small amount of sand in front of that wall would last one tidal cycle before getting washed away.
Right, and that would be a problem for the shellfish resources there. So I don't mind putting the sand where it's proposed behind the wall in that area.
Right.
Is there anyone else who wants to comment on this proposal?
Make a
Looks like
motion. that we-
Nancy Chivetta is raising her hand to speak, Debbie.
Okay, we can't see her, or I can't.
You can't see her, but I see that her hand is raised, so you could go ahead and call on her.
If you would please go ahead.
Nancy?
Gotcha.
Okay.
Are you there? Can you see
Okay.
me?
We can hear you, we can see you.
I'm the Shellfish Constable. This is just something that I'm starting to float at these meetings. As you look, I missed the beginning because I couldn't log on, but as you start to think about when you're going to place the sand, as you noted, at the high tide cycles, when they're really high tides, the sand doesn't last at all. So one of the things that I'm starting to ask renourishment projects to consider is to look at the tide chart when the tides are not astronomically high and when it looks like they're going to be kind of lower high tides, if you will, instead of the higher high tides. That will just give the sand a chance to settle in and not get immediately swept away and onto the, out and possibly covering up the shellfish beds. So, I know that there's a lot of other timeline details that are probably pressing, but I just think if we can all get into the habit of looking at a tide chart when you're planning your work, that might help just make things go better in the future. Thanks.
Thanks, Nancy. That's a good point. And in this particular site here, the contractor can't do the work around the clock with the tides. Work needs to be done around low tide. The neighboring properties to the north, you can kind of see where the high water line comes seaward on the north side of that rock groin. And at higher tides, there's really no access. So most of the work is going to be done at low tide. And
No.
I understand what you're saying with the astronomical tides. And in this case here, it's a little different since it's behind the concrete wall. But I do agree with you. If you, wait for a non-astronomical tide, place the nourishment, and give it some time to settle before a high tide hits it, it has a better chance
Right.
of sticking around.
Right. It goes without saying that you're going to do the work at low tide. I
Right.
just mean like looking at the tide chart as you plan out, because it could help, if you're getting not as high tides, it might just help. Also, make the best use of the homeowner's money.
Right. I agree with you.
Okay, could you just tell us how the sand will be brought in and how it will be deposited?
Sure. The sand will be brought in similarly to how the sand is brought into the Oyer property. We show the access being from Nauset Road, the public access there at the end of the road. Sand will be stockpiled at the end of the road, and then a front end loader will go back and forth with a bucket load at a time. And if he can, maybe he'll just be able to dump it right over the wall, or he may stockpile it on the beach and have a mini excavator take the sand one bucket load at a time and put it behind the wall, which I assume that's how this particular contractor would do the work. He has a nice little mini excavator that worked well at the previous job we just completed.
Are there any further questions?
So I have one more question. I'm sorry. So access not from Omaha this time, but from Nauset Road,
Correct.
even though it's a longer trip.
So for this site, it's kind of right in the middle here.
Okay.
And yeah.
That's what I was trying to look up.
But that's a town landing. Do you have permission from the town to stage there? Are you talking about the town landing?
Yes, so we've staged there in the past, so I can reach out to the DPW director just to let him know. I've already kind of put a bug in his ear earlier on in the month just to let him know that we were planning on using the road, and he had no problem with it.
Can you just not schedule it on a Wednesday? Because that's one of the only 2 days. Wednesdays and Sundays, that area is open for recreational shellfishing, so it gets crowded.
Okay, so our current plan is to start the Oyer Nourishment Project on Monday. It's not an ideal tide, so we may only have a couple hours the first day, so we probably have to finish it up on Tuesday. So I gotta ask the contractor not to go out there Wednesday and then come back on Thursday or Friday to finish this particular site.
Okay, I just asked that you have, one of the conditions is that you have permission from the town to use town property as the staging area.
That's correct, and we would always contact the town prior to doing Mr. Oyer's nourishment as well, and just to reduce the amount of time spent in the resource area and try to keep the project as efficient as possible. This project will be done concurrently with Mr. Oyer's work, and next year, if the work is re-permitted again and redone, the same thing would hopefully happen.
All right, could I have a motion, please?
I move that we approve this project, 40 cubic yards of sand for one time only, dumped behind the seawall.
At Shadorowsky 77 Samoset Avenue, map 28, parcel 114. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second.
With conditions.
With conditions. This is a one-time only, and there needs to be approval from the town if you intend to enter through the town landing and to store material there.
And the work not be done on Sunday or Wednesday.
Yes. Okay, could I have a vote, please? Ben? Ben?
Ben's phone, audio's off.
Can I
You're
just ask
muted,
one
Ben.
question? Yep,
Yes.
I have one question too while Ben's becoming unmuted. Did Nancy say no work on Sunday? I heard Wednesday.
Wednesday and Sunday.
And
Sunday.
And Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when the recreational shellfishery is open there.
Okay, I thought it was the holy day. Sorry.
No.
Okay, I need a voice vote for the purposes of the remote meeting law. So, Ben, if you could state your vote.
Yes.
Mike Fisher,
Yes.
John Kumbler,
Yes.
Leon,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
John Portnoy,
No.
Debbie, yes.
Supervisor,
I think that Doug should take that because he's already been out to the site. And he went out on the previous site visit for the other property as well. So let's make Doug the supervisor.
sounds good.
Okay, you're all set then.
Thank you very much. I do have one quick question. Next year, if they would like to do this project again, how would it look to re-permit it? Would we just come back for an amendment to this order of conditions, or how exactly would that work?
This is a one-off, so you'd have to come back with a whole new NOI. This is a one-time permission.
Okay.
That's right. Hillary? Hillary's muted.
Yeah, I know. I just want to weigh in on this. So our approvals, a notice of intent and an order of conditions are good for 3 years. I think we can word a condition that should they want to re-nourish in a consecutive year, they need to come back and have a discussion with the commission. So I don't think we need them to refile a whole new notice of intent if the situation isn't going to change, but they will need to come back and seek permission again.
The key, Hillary, is seek permission.
Yeah.
Because if they just come back and tell us, we've
No.
had that problem before. I don't want to have a repeat of that.
Yeah, no, I'm going to word it such that consecutive years of renourishment requires permission from the Conservation Commission.
Well, isn't that a permission? Isn't that a permit?
No, because the permit is valid for 3 years, they would have the right to come back anytime within that 3 years and do the work. So we're going to tell them they can't do the work again until they come back and have the discussion with us.
All right, semantics.
Sorry, yes.
All right.
All right, thank you guys very much.
Spar.
Can I just get, Debbie, are you comfortable with this?
Well, if the permit is for 3 years and we're requiring them to come back and we have the ability to deny it, yes.
Okay, it's the ability to deny it that I
Yeah.
just want to make sure you feel we have.
So I'm going to word it, consecutive years of nourishment would require additional permission from the Conservation Commission with the ability to deny it if there are detrimental effects.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can observe what happens this time.
Yes.
What basically we're throwing on a hassle to these owners because of bad experience in the past.
Well, that's one way to look at it. The other way is we don't know what's going to happen to the shellfish beds with this amount of renourishment, and it would be wise to look at it before we go any further.
Right, of course.
Okay, I think we've got the wording.
Okay, so Spar 0 off Bayview Avenue.
We voted, yes, we voted on Shadarowski and we're good to go. Moving on to Spar.
Yes.
Okay,
What about,
got it.
What about Joannette?
Yeah, do we want
Come
to get,
back to her.
Yeah.
We skipped her and we're going to put her on last.
Okay.
So first we have
Bummer.
Spar, which is map 35, parcels 212 and 34, a notice of intent. Is anyone here for Spar?
So Don Monroe was on this job and I see that Ann Spar is on the line. And they had followed up with us a couple times to make sure that they were on the agenda. They had submitted additional paperwork. And then Dawn sent an email late one day this week saying that they hadn't heard back from Natural Heritage yet. So while he didn't ask for a continuance, I'm assuming that's what he meant, but if I could unmute Anne and we could hear from her, perhaps she could weigh in on where we are. Go ahead, Anne.
So, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not 100% sure where we are because I know that we were waiting to hear from Natural Heritage, and I was in communication with Don earlier today, and I expected to see him on this call. So I'm not quite sure. I haven't been able to reach him to find out where he is or why he's not here. So I guess we need a continuance since it seems like I'm a little concerned. I'm a little unhappy too, but I'll sort that out myself.
Okay.
So our next meeting is June 17th.
Okay.
So
I have a motion
will-
that we continue this.
is there a second?
Second,
Leon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Barbara?
yes.
John Portnoy?
Yes.
John Kumbler?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Mike Fisher?
Abstain.
Debbie, yes. So you're continued until the 17th.
Thank you very much.
It looks like one new person has just entered the meeting, and I'm wondering if that's Dawn. The 617 number. Can you let us know who you are? Oh, that,
Suzanne,
okay. Okay.
because I don't know if you can.
We're having.
You need to mute your speaker.
Who's that? Okay, let's try again then with 35 Chequesset Bluff Road, map 20, parcel 37, RDA. We're still getting feedback.
How about now?
That sounds good.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why my computer isn't doing the microphone, so you can see me and I hope you can hear me.
Okay, Barbara recusing on this one. Okay.
Okay, please go ahead.
So I talked with you all 2 weeks ago, and there was a question about the plot plan, which I included, and you also wanted to know exact numbers and sizes of plants, which I submitted. And then you also wanted to know about watering plans. So I resubmitted last week, and I hope you all got the packet.
We do.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. So I'm hoping that this was what you were looking for. One of my kids pointed out that there was the sketch of the area in particular that I'm working on could be confusing because there's two curvy lines that indicate the driveway, and then there are two curvy lines that indicate the 50-foot and the 100-foot mark. So I just want to be sure that everybody knows that the 50 and the 100-foot mark are at the top and middle of the page, and the longer curvy lines indicate the driveway.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
All right,
So-
are there questions?
I think this is a fairly straightforward project, and I think we should. Okay.
Does anybody else have a comment?
I appreciate the work that she did to make it much clearer. I still support the project as a good one.
Yes.
Okay, anyone else?
Make a motion that we accept this project.
Is there-
Second.
Leon, how do you vote?
Yes.
John Portnoy?
Yes.
John Kumbler?
Yes.
Ben? Ben, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
You're muted.
He's muted.
Yes.
He's frozen in time.
I think I heard a yes out of him.
I think I heard a yes too.
I heard a yes.
Mike Fisher,
Yes.
Barbara Brennesel abstains, and I vote yes. You're all set.
Oh, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Looking
for
forward
the
to
effort.
planting some plants. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Is there anything else that we need to address? If we did not approve the minutes, we would have to go back into the business meeting. I think we can just leave that for next time unless other people have other thoughts. Is there any objection to that?
I think that's an excellent idea.
I think so.
I just have one quick thing. It's not on the minutes. Did we talk at our previous meeting? I think we did, about Eversource and their utility maintenance activities.
We did.
Did.
Okay.
I did.
All right. I just wanted to make sure because we've got some, documentation. So
Barbara,
That was a big mail packet that we got?
Yes.
Okay, that was the last meeting. We got a
Yes.
big mail packet, yeah, with maps about
yes.
every place on the whole Cape that they were gonna be.
Yes.
working.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Well,
Barbara,
is there anything else urgent in the mail, Barbara?
There's no mail.
Oh,
Yeah.
no mail.
So-
Oh, okay.
if it's okay with everyone, and Barbara, you just came back, what I'd like to do is to leave the minutes and the executive session issue of minutes till the next meeting. We can deal with that then, if that's okay.
Yeah, Don Monroe was just on my screen, but then.
Yeah, he just came in. I was going to tell him that his project has been continued to June 17th.
Okay.
Don, can you hear us?
can hear you. Sorry it took so long to get here. I apologize for that. So, is that because of natural heritage?
Well, yes, it was because of Natural Heritage, and I assumed that's what you wanted us to do because you had sent the email saying that we hadn't heard from Natural Heritage, and then we didn't see you on here. Your client was on here, and I think she was expecting to see you, but we opened your case, we continued it, and you're now on June 17th.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll call Ann.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
bye.
Is there anything further that we need to address tonight?
I just want to make a statement about the executive meeting minutes. I don't think we want to approve them because once they get approved, it's open to the public.
No, what I was going to say is you can approve them, but with the statement that they are attorney-client material, and in order for them to remain privileged, they have to be kept confidential. That's That's what we did in the pre-screening committee for the town administrator. That's what Harry Turkanian had us do.
Oh, okay. Sounds great.
Okay. All right. Then I need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Is there a second? Okay. Mike, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Heard it.
We're not going to debate this.
Still life from Ben.
John Cumberland?
Yes.
John Portnoy?
Yes.
Leon?
Yes.
Barbara?
Certainly.
Debbie, yes. So I'll see everybody on the 17th.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hillary, I'm ending.